Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Parsons. Welcome to the THW NHL News and Rumors Rundown for the week of March 13th, 2021. I'm here with thehockeyraters.com. We got lots of news to go through when it comes to the NHL, but there's a couple things to let you know about first. If you want to follow us at the Hockey Rater on Twitter, you can go right there. If you want to see us, are the Hockey Raiders on Facebook, way down in the corner over there, facebook.com/the Hockey Raiders, and of course, thehockeyraters.com for all your news and rumors. YouTube channel for great video content with the Oilers, Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings, Maple Leafs, Flames. There's tons of stuff going on right now, so you can definitely check everything out over at thehockeyraters.com or on the YouTube pages or all your social media platforms. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. Here's a bunch of news when it comes to the NHL. We'll run through it as quickly as we can here. The big one, as far as the NHL goes, is that there's a new TV rights deal in place, a 7-year deal with ESPN that's going to be coming up here right away. There's another half of this equation to go, so the NHL is going to be working with another network to do the second half of this TV deal, but it's massive. It's great news for the NHL. It's going to be a huge bump in revenues for the team, so it's going to be really good news on that respect. We'll see how things wind up with ESPN, who isn't typically known to produce or promote heavily hockey, but if ESPN is behind the NHL, this is great news for the NHL. And we'll see where the other half of this equation goes through. The USA Network might be part of it. Maybe NBC picks up the other part of this deal. We don't really know. But the NHL is signing and has signed a brand new 7-year deal with ESPN to cover hockey starting as soon as their NBC deal runs out, which is great news for them. All right, tons of talk in Toronto. Kyle Dubas. It's pretty much a consensus now that they're buyers, that they're going to be looking for a top six forward heading into the trade deadline, which comes up here on April 12th. What they're shopping for, who they're shopping for, is totally unknown at this point. Mikael Granlund's name has been out there. Eric Stahl's name has been out there. There's been tons of rumors about a bunch of different people. Even Ricard Raquel, Pierre LeBrun talked about him. We have to understand that the Maple Leafs don't have a ton of cap room, so we'll see what they can do, and money in, money out, or somebody retaining salary or what have you. But Toronto is a buyer. They are looking to add. They are one of the hotter teams in the NHL right now, so we'll see what they do. But there's not a lot of time left here, and Dubas is going to be looking at a few options. All right, on the other side of things, in Buffalo, news is not good. This team is doing terribly. They're losing like crazy. They're losing players like crazy. There's tons of talk about who's going to be leaving. The news on Jack Eichel recently is that his injury is worse than probably expected. Now, there's no timeline on this, but head coach Ralph Krueger did come out and say that he's going to be gone for the foreseeable future. They can't put a timeline on it. They don't really know what's going on. They've sent him off to get a second opinion medically, which means he's going to at least have to observe a 7-day quarantine before he comes back to the team, but it's probably going to be longer than that, so that's not great news. So when it comes to the Sabres and what they're going to do before the trade deadline, we know they're going to be shopping some people. Sam Reinhart's name has been out there. We know Taylor Hall's name has been out there. Eric Stahl is becoming quickly one of the more popular names on the trade board, and there's tons of teams connected to this guy. It could be the Edmonton Oilers, could be Toronto, could be Carolina. There's a lot of people that or a lot of teams that could be interested in Stahl. He's a really good third line, even second line player, center, winger, lots of leadership experience, playoff experience. So he could come in handy. There's going to be some salary work to be done for some of these teams, but Eric Stahl is probably getting moved before the deadline. One of those teams, of course, is the Edmonton Oilers. They are known to be interested in potentially adding Eric Stahl, but GM Ken Holland did come out and say, look, any deal that we do has to be dollar in, dollar out. Our LTI situation, specifically with Oscar Klefbom, has created a scenario and such that we can't really go and just buy and add money without sending money out. So he did say they're interested in adding leadership experience, and Stahl might be on the radar, although he didn't drop Stahl's name specifically, but that is the consensus that he might be going after somebody like that. But we'll see. The Oilers are pretty deep. They're relatively injury-free, and we don't really know where that's going to go. But there is some talk when we're talking about players like maybe Jake DeBrusk that could be interesting for the Edmonton Oilers, Eric Stahl, that Ethan Bear somehow got wound up in this conversation. So there's been a lot of chatter in Edmonton that maybe the Oilers would be willing to move Ethan Bear. There's the expansion draft to consider. Lots of right-handed defensemen in Edmonton. Would Ethan Bear be on the radar of the Oilers to ship out as the expendable? I don't see it. I don't know why you would do that, but there's some talk that that might happen. Not necessarily that'll happen, but that the Oilers could consider it. Pretty risky move, though, considering Ethan Bear could grow into a very strong player, and the Oilers have made that mistake before with a guy like Jeff Petrie. All right, lots of talk in Anaheim. Ricard Raquel's probably the name to watch out of the Ducks organization. Anaheim's not shopping him, but they are taking calls and they are listening, and there's a lot of teams that could be interested in him. He's not necessarily a rental. He's got another year after this deal, but he's got a pretty team-friendly contract, so there are teams that are going to be interested. Making their a pitch could be very interesting. Like I said before, Pierre LeBrun said the Maple Leafs should go all in on this guy. We'll see if that happens. Nashville, tons of news coming out of Nashville. They're probably going to be sellers. David Poile has basically said most of my guys outside of the young crew are up for sale. He could be moving people. The one person he said he might not move is Philip Forsberg. There's a guy that he's thinking he probably won't move. I'm sure he'll listen to it, but it's probably not going to be something that he does. And in Columbus, there's still tons of talk about Patrick Laine, John Tortorella, and Jarmo Kekalainen has come out, and he doesn't typically, tip his hand, but he said, look, we're looking for a top-line center. That's the deal. So as such, goaltender like Elvis Merzlikins or Eunice Corpusalo, one of those two could be on the move, especially if the Blue Jackets don't make the playoffs this year. But Kekalainen has said they're actively looking for a top-line center. How easy that's going to be to find, a trade, the draft, what have you, but that's the action there. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us this week. Lots of news and rumors I'm sure will come over the next week as we approach the trade deadline on April 12th. Keep your eyes peeled, watch the videos, go to thehockeyraiders.com for all your news and rumors, and we'll talk to you next week. Watch for another one on Saturday, and we'll release another video. Thanks, guys.